So,
we got the man.
as you might expect for International Fight Week, a lot of people are in the building, but no one needs more security than the former president of the United States, obviously a really good friend of Dana White.
Oh my word, I mean, listen, he's a massive fight fan, and that just shows how big this event is.
Now, I don't know about you, but there's a bit of a difference between the two front-running presidential candidates. I think I know what it is. One believes in sunscreen, one doesn't. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukranowski here of wearechange.org, and there is some absolutely huge news that is coming in today, especially when it comes to the larger geopolitical conflict between the East and the West, as we have some surprising militarization news that is not really looking good for the world. Lots of other conspiracies, lots of other very strange actions that are going on here domestically that we're going to be talking about in this independent media broadcast with all the latest news. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast, I have no idea who created this comparison video of the two most likely individuals to be the next president of the United States, but this is a pretty brilliant meme warfare. If you know the person who created this content, let me know down in the comment section below so we could attribute them correctly, and of course also link their YouTube channel. All of this as we're going into the presidential 2024 elections with a lot of things just not making sense. It just how do you explain just a rematch of 2016? How do you explain a Biden administration that isn't really there at all, that could barely walk up steps correctly, filled with scandal after scandal, as the Daily Mail is reporting on the latest one, specifically highlighting the story of an Israeli professor who claimed to have evidence on the clear, corrupted Biden family interests and business dealings, which he handed over to the FBI, who was now recently charged by the DOJ with, quote, arms trafficking and Iran sanctions violations. All of this as this Israeli U.S. citizen is on the run. An indictment against him has been unsealed recently as he faces 8 counts of working illegally with China, selling them Iranian oil, as he is still on the run from authorities, claiming that the latest charges against him by the DOJ are meant to stop him from testifying against the Bidens. Who's telling the truth here? Who really knows? But let's be honest here. Biden is a career politician that is known for being corrupt and gaining huge amounts of wealth from, of course, his own personal business dealings connected to his political career. This as the Biden administration has weaponized the DOJ against their own political opponents and individuals who dare to speak out against them, like, of course, Tucker Carlson, formerly America's #1 news anchor that recently went on the Russell Brand podcast on Rumble in his first interview ever since being fired by Fox News, and explained how he doesn't even know why he was fired, while also dropping another bombshell talking about how he talked to the former Capitol Police chief who informed him that on January 6th, the U.S. Capitol was, quote, filled with federal agents. In related undercover federal agents and shill news, Reason Magazine just recently came out and did a very interesting attack piece on Robert F. Kennedy Jr., going after a lot of the claims he made, a lot of the assertions, as the magazine recently hosted an interview with him and didn't bring up anything that they're attacking him for now. This as the Libertarian magazine is being heavily criticized now for what many people call a disingenuous attack, pushing establishment talking points while trying to ridicule someone questioning the official narratives that people are being sold. In related pointless gestures news, today we also have footage coming from the EU climate summit where a socialist member of the Spanish government flew on a private jet, rode in a limo with a motorcade, and then 100 meters before arriving at the venue, decided to get out of the limo and ride her bike the rest of the way, with her gas-powered security detail, of course, closely behind her, while police officers shut down entire streets for this empty, hypocritical political gesture that should rightfully be called out. And hey, if we really want to take care of the climate, We got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care of the food that we decide to put in our bodies. We have to concentrate on regenerative agriculture and not, of course, subsidized seed oils and high fructose corn syrup that, of course, the ruling establishment wants you to continue to eat in excess until you're a lard, fat piece of crap. And if you dare to work out, if you dare to take care of yourself, you're dealing, quote, with a far-right obsession, according to MSNBC. And as a former fat, I have to tell you that life is not worth living. Taking care of yourself, working out, taking the right supplements, doing the right nutritional homework and research to understand what is right and wrong for you is extremely important. And one reason out of many reasons why I launched TakeTheChillPill.com, creating my own line of supplements, wearechange.org chill pills, which you can get right now, exclusively right now on TakeTheChillPill.com. Our own website, our own product, not being dependent on advertisers, not being dependent on anyone or anything. I personally love this product. I use it, especially when I'm under high stress. You could do your own research, make sure it is right for you. I only take it for a month because this stuff is potent. This stuff is very strong, even according to Forbes. It helps you relieve stress and anxiety, lowers blood sugar and fat, increases muscle strength, improves boom function in women, boosts fertility and testosterone levels in men, sharpens focus and memory, and of course supports heart health. Please do your own homework, do your own research, and if you think ashwagandha is right for you, check out TakeTheChillPill.com, where you could get more information about our own product that supports this independent media organization, while at the same time striving to make you the best, healthiest, and strongest version of yourself, something that I've been talking about extensively on LukeUnfiltered.com, and today's video will be centered around that and how I was a fat before, while also talking about larger things in our society that we cannot talk about here on this particular broadcast. That video available later on for everyone on LukeUnfiltered.com. See you there. Take the chill pill, do your homework, do your own research, and start living a life that MSNBC will detest you for living. Now, strongly suggest you living your life before the next major psyop, before the next major problem that's going to hit the world, that of course is currently brewing right now in Ukraine, representing the larger proxy war between the East and the West that, let's be honest here, isn't going that well for the Ukrainian people, especially with articles like this from Yahoo News, detailing how female soldiers in Ukraine are complaining about huge uniforms and suffering yeast infections on the front line, while the United States and many other countries keep adding to the latest technological advanced weapons systems that they're going to be sending to that country, which are getting more complex by the day, the latest of which is cluster bombs and munitions, which now the Democrats seem to love. The French just agreed to send, quote, crucial long-range missiles to Ukraine that could hit targets 155 miles away from the original launch destination, a move confirmed at the start of a two-day NATO summit that's happening right now in Vilnius, Lithuania. This being yet a major escalation since, of course, Ukraine could hit major strategic locations inside of Russia with these missiles, which they probably will be doing very soon. All of this as the U.S. State Department just released this statement, which has a lot of people asking themselves, what's really going on in Ukraine, especially since we're having to spend more and more on this war, sending more and more weapons when we're being told that the Ukrainians are winning. And are they? Well, this is what the U.S. State Department said.
A few things. So I will say, with respect to your first question, we believe the war has been a strategic failure for Ukraine. The Secretary spoke to this in a speech he gave in Helsinki last month, I believe it was. What's that? I'm sorry, a strategic failure for Ukraine. Thank you for the correction. Which is, I need more than one correction today. This is the first time at the podium for a week. I'm apparently a little rusty. A few things. So I will.
Yeah, not a good look, especially when you see a lot of the on-the-ground reports happening in Ukraine that I'm paying close attention to, that are highlighting a completely different situation than what the corporate media is purporting it to be. This, as we also just found out, that the FBI worked with Ukrainian intelligence officials on censoring individuals who are criticizing this war and are not fully behind it, highlighting again clear violations of the First Amendment, violating, of course, free speech and censoring important voices for the larger conversation here, which I think is needed more than ever, especially with the latest bombshell that NATO will be issuing an invitation to Ukraine to join NATO. Yes, you heard that correctly. NATO is expected to issue an invitation to Ukraine, which of course would create a very drastic situation in that country that could potentially spark a full all-out global war between NATO and Russia, which, if, let's be honest here, Ukraine joins NATO, is inevitable. This news comes after Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, heavily criticized and attacked Joe Biden, making implications on his cognitive skills, saying that his statements were unprecedented and absurd, making these statements a few hours ago, right before NATO decided to use this language, as it looks like the criticisms of Zelensky were heard and listened to by those in NATO, showing you the larger possibility that there was some behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing that probably happened here between the West and Ukraine. As of course, Zelensky was furious, made some very strong statements, and then NATO responded by saying that they're going to start the conversations, which is essentially an end road towards World War III. And I'm not exaggerating here. This is exactly what would happen. NATO states have to defend other NATO states. And just like we saw throughout all of the history in Europe, it's these larger alliances that start global, dangerous conflicts that, of course, endanger the rest of the world. This, as President Biden, after being heavily criticized by Zelensky, has said that he now agrees with the language for Ukraine's future ability to join NATO after conditions are going to be, quote, met. What are going to be those conditions? Is this just a gesture trying to placate Zelensky and Ukraine? Well, who knows? As of course, Turkey just did some wheeling and dealing for F-16s and military hardware that changed their position on Sweden joining NATO as well. And with this official invitation, I think it's fair to say, especially with what looks like Ukrainian government and military officials becoming more desperate by the day, what's going to be the result of all of this? Well, who knows, as the NATO chief right now has just issued a statement saying that there's no timetable set for the Ukrainian membership. This, as Justin Trudeau is in Latvia right now lecturing his troops about climate change. So yeah, that guy's really on point. But as I said a couple weeks and days ago, with the Ukrainians being in a tougher situation, especially with a smaller population than Russia, they find themselves in a very difficult spot. And in desperate situations, this calls for a lot of desperate measures. What will be the desperate move? Well, whatever it is, it's going to be a major escalation to the problems that we are all facing here that we should be addressing and trying to, of course, de-escalate and stop to save more lives here instead of putting them at risk for some larger kind of strategic geopolitical gain. A lot of very innocent Ukrainians, Russians, people stuck in the middle, citizens of both countries are suffering and paying the ultimate price as politicians keep expanding their lives. And I have to ask, for what? This, as it only seems that this conflict is serving the military-industrial complex and no one else. But that's just my opinion. Do you think I am wrong? Let me know why down in the comment section below. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively watching and sharing this video, especially if you found this message important. I got one more video coming your way on lukeunfiltered.com. See you there. Love you.